So if you're a venture capitalist or any kind of investor, you want the rundown on someone, you hire this firm, and they send their little mercenary reporters to do the public records and interviews or whatever the client sort of wants. And it was crazy. Like what a crazy way to learn public records, like skip tracing and, you know, just that whole world of scams and business malfeasance and how to go through divorce records, talking to, you know, ex-wives and ex-business partners, just like seedy, cool stuff.
All right, tell a story. There's got to be one story that stands out.
Well, there's a lot of you can't. Like there's very little field work, right? Like there was only like two real times I went out like to gather stuff in the field, which I thought was always the coolest part. But the really breakthrough stuff that would happen was all just reporting. And I can't really talk about some of those, but there is one that story, because he's dead now, is sort of germane. The name came through one day, and we had a big board up on the wall and had the name of the subject, and then when it was due, basically, and then and who was assigned to it. So I got assigned to Madoff.
Or Trello.
Madoff. So I'm like,
never heard of him.
Bernie Madoff. All right, like I'll take it. So I, you know, make all the calls, we do things, and the way the place worked, we had the primary investigator dig up a lot of the really deep financial stuff, and then we go through it, and then I chase down the leads, and he thought something was off with him. He's like, you know, we start talking to people like very regular rates of return, like, oh, well, I'm going to give you 24%, and you get 24% exactly. And it's like, no one ever does that over and over and over again. It's like, well, that's a good thing. The client, they're getting their money back. It's like, yeah, but it's a red flag. Yeah. And here's another one. And there was nothing huge and glaring.
I saw a meme the other day that was like, why won't people just promise like 4%? Like, why won't these scam artists? There's no scam artist. It's like, I'm going to give you 4%.
It's classic pigeon behavior. If you prove yourself greedy, you're vulnerable. And it's like a self-selection for wanting to be scammed. I want to believe that some prince somewhere is going to give me money to launder his money. Like it's part of it. Like,
wait, you're telling me that when I wired $4,000 this morning so you could wire me $1 million, that wasn't real?
You may have some problems. That's it. Every con depends on that. So here's the big red flag with Madoff, which is the only reason why it's an interesting story instead of just a self-aggrandizing one. Part of what we do is call the desks that police them, right? That are supposed to keep the files on, hey, he did this wrong, we looked at this, and they're supposed to tell us that kind of stuff. So that's part of my routine calls, right? So I call up and I talk to the desk, NASDAQ, and the regulator there, and he says, oh, yeah, Bernie's he's a good guy or whatever. Like, yeah, there's nothing on him. He's all clean. We don't have anything on file for him. I was like, well, fair enough. Like, we checked. That early evening, like 6:30, 7 o'clock, my desk phone rings. And by this point, the only people on that desk phone were the regulator people, right? The other interviews were down the line. So I hadn't called anyone about Madoff. And Madoff didn't know that he was being investigated. I get a call, you know, I'm like, hey, hello. You know, and I must have the name of the firm, you know, blah, 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 blah. Hi, this is Bernie Madoff. I hear you're a private investigator looking into my business. I was like, hi. Hey, buddy. I can't really talk to you. My client hasn't authorized me to interview or anything. He's like, well, just so you know, if you want to know anything, just give me a call. And I'm right here. And I was like, I know where you are. There's nothing I'd like more than to have my client allow me to interview you. But I can't even get into. And then by then I knew that he knew that I shouldn't have even said that, honestly. But he was kind of he's pushing around. And I wanted to see how he reacted because I want to tell the client this guy is acting like a nut. Like, that's not typical business shit to threaten the private investigator. Tipped off, I'm pretty sure, by the regulators who were looking at him. His buddies on that desk told him there's a PI looking into him, and he called to intimidate. That was his first reaction, was to call and intimidate the PI. How did he know to call me the same day I talked to the regulators?
That's so crazy.
I wonder how he got away with what he got away with. You know what I'm saying?
So he just bought off everyone.
I want to say bribery. A good reputation is worth more than a checkbook. I mean, he's not Al Capone at the time. He's just a well-connected person on Wall Street. And those are the people regulators sometimes rely on or rely on to not look at too closely, or they're just not a priority. And God only knows where those people go after. And if they tick off too many people, how are they going to get a job outside? You know, you're a good defense attorney because you work for the prosecutor. That's all I'm going to say. So I thought it was all very weird. It's sound and fury signifying nothing, but that's
how
my
much
Bernie
longer
Madoff
after
story.
that did he go down?
Oh, years.